Hi, Chapra. Yes, we are starting the last parak right now. Very exciting. And the parak is about Kedusha. Something interesting to point out uh, is that the Ramchal based Mesilat Yesharim off of a brisa where it discusses different like a hierarchy of midos to acquire. And so this is the last chapter, so we would assume this is the end. But this is actually not the end of that brisa. The brisa actually continues with Ruach HaKodesh and Tchias HaMesim, being able to do Tchias HaMesim and have Ruach HaKodesh. And the Ramachal, I'm not sure if he says it explicitly or not, but it's basically, this is kind of like the last rung of something that you could put effort into. Meaning, if someone gets Ruach HaKodesh, or someone could be a Mechayim Mesim, so that's totally a matana from Hashem. And all Mesilat Yesharim is obviously about our own work and our own ability to grow in our midos. So this is the last rung on the ladder. I've been saying over the last few months, things we've been learning, they might be on a higher madriga than where we are, but certainly we could glean things from it. And as I was preparing this today and learning it, it is mamish above and beyond anything we've seen thus far. Some of the other things, like, I don't know, it was, even though certainly it was a very, very high madriga, it's things that we could like somewhat relate to and understand. And this is kind of like beyond, as we'll learn and discuss together. Here we go. Inyan Kedusha Kafalhu. The topic, the idea of Kedusha and working on it is twofold. The Hainu Tchilasa Avoda, the Sofa Gmul. That part of it, the first component of it is something that, meaning we have to put effort in, but in the end, it really comes down to also matana from Hashem. Tchilaso ishtadlus, the Sofa matana. The beginning requires our effort, and the end is a gift. The Hainu, that is, that which a person is able to sanctify, make holy, make themselves holy. In the end, it is what Hashem will make you, how Hashem will make you holy, basically. And the Gemara and Yoma and Daf Lamed Hedam Aleph says, Adam mekadesh atzmo me'at, mekadeshem oso harben. That a person makes himself mekadesh, makes himself holy a little bit, and then Hashem's gonna do a lot of the work. Milmato, mekadeshem oso milmala. Right, you do some work milmata, and then Hashem's gonna be mekadesh you milmala. It's similar to an idea, right? When a person has a desire to do teshuvah, it's like you open it, the eye of a needle, and Hashem will open it like the full way, will fully open the door. So here, so too when it comes to attaining Kedusha, so it's something that requires our own effort, but the amount of the Kedusha for it to be able to come, really most of it will come from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's going to explain shortly why this is. Hashtadlus hu sheyeh adam nivdal v'netak min hachomrios legamrei, that the hashtadlus a person has to put in to obtain kedusha is to be fully separated and detached from physicality completely, and to at all times be clinging to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As I told you about a minute ago, 2 minutes ago, right? This is pretty intense, right? So we've learned previously, right? A person wants to root themselves in the physical world, but here, just the way that it's speaking about these things is like above and beyond. Where a person constantly, like literally has no, like next to no physicality in their life, and a person at all times is just davok to Hashem. The alderach nikra'u hanaviyim malach. And along these lines, this is why a Navi is referred to as a malach. As it says regarding Aaron a Kohen, Yisivse Kohen Yishmeru Das, that the lips of the Kohen are guarding knowledge. And one desires the Torah from him. He malach Hashem fakosu, because he is a malach of Hashem. Okay, so it refers to Aaron as a Malach of Hashem. The Omer, it says Dever Yomim. You Mal'ivim B'Malachei Elokim Omer. That the line says, and they insulted the angels of Hashem, referring to the Nevi'im. And so here we see that another is referred to as a Malach, right? And to attain that level of Nevuah, to attain this level of Kedusha requires a person to be kind of above and beyond the physical world. Now, if you have a person, though, if you're in this world and you attain this level of Kedusha, you still have to live, right? You still need to eat, still need to drink, you still need to sleep, you need to go to the bathroom. So he says, even at the time when you're involved in the physical world, so you need to be not just the needs of the body. I'm sorry, meaning you're being involved because of the needs of your body. Nonetheless, you are still constantly clinging to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Meaning, I'll finish this paragraph, then I'll explain something more. Right? My soul is like searches after you, Hashem, clings to you. Be tamcha yeminecha, and your right hand supports me. So it's not just that, like up until now, the madrigos that we saw, and he's gonna elaborate this soon. Madrigos that we saw, when you have even a very high madriga, you have a person that is involved in the physical world because, right, they have to do it. But the difference is, at the time, it's kind of like a part situation. They're not getting a mitzvah for doing that, but they're doing it because they have to do it. But over here, at the time when this kadosh is being involved in the physical world, his mind is still with Hashem. He's still like close to Hashem at all times. So let's see, and he'll kind of elaborate on this. The Amnam. Since it's impossible for a person to remove themselves from the physicality, right? Like I said, you need to eat, you need to drink, you need to sleep, you need to go to the bathroom. He's so chamri hu basar v'dam, because right in the end of the day, you're a person of flesh and blood. Al Kain, amarti shesov hakadusha matana, and he says that's why. I know the Shiur's explain what I said he would explain before. One of the things is, one of the questions was why is it that the beginning of this midah to attain it requires our efforts, but in the end it's a matana from Hashem? Because the reason why it's a matana from Hashem is because to be really kadosh, you have to actually not partake of physicality. But because we have to partake of physicality, it can't be totally from us, and it has to be Hashem bestowing it upon us. You understand what I'm saying? We can't totally reach this madrig on our own because we're physical people. But if we do our best and just try, then Hashem's kind of going to give us the rest. That's why I said, in the end, the kedusha will be a matana. Because that which a person is craving is able to run and have a thirst for the knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and constantly delve into sanctifying one's actions. However, Hasofu, in the end, it'll be HaKadosh Baruch Hu yadrichehu b'derech haseh shu chafetz lalechas ba. That in the end, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to guide him on the path that a person decides to go on. B'yashra alav kedushaso v'kadsheh, and Hashem's going to bestow upon this person that kedusha. Yaz yitzlach b'yado zehadavar, and then the person will succeed in attaining this in his hand. Then the person will be able to constantly be clung to and one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because that which our nature in the physical world really prevents us from attaining certain things. Yazrehu Yisbarach Yitain Love. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be helping us to be able to achieve these things. To Inyan Shin Amar, as it says in Tehillim, Lo Yimna Tov Laholchim B'Tamim. Right? the good are not going to be held back when they're going after something in wholesomeness and devotion, like when they're coming. The Alkain Amru b'Maimar Sadacharti. That's why I said this Maimar Adam Mevakesh Atomat, right? That a person has to be mekadosh himself a little bit. What does that mean? Shuma Pilcha Adam Liknos Bishtabus. That this is what a person is able to attain with his shtabus. Sorry about that. Yeah, here we are. And then when he says Mekachim Musa Harbe, and then Hakadosh Baruch Hu is going to be make you holy, Mekadosh you, Ezer Ozer Oso Hashem Yisparach Moshe Vesachim. That's when Hashem is going to be helping you out, like I said. Okay. Let me before we go on, before we continue, I'll just share with you like one of the images I have or things I'm thinking about when I've been learning this is the fact that if you think of like Hasidic Rebbes or think about like the tzaddikim of the world, this is kind of like in a certain sense they're madrega. If you think about, let's say, like a Hasidic Rebbe, right? Like I don't know, could be modern times or previous generations, right? So the concept of shirayim, of them where they take food and they pass it out, right? So even the physical part of the world they touch, it's not for their physical world, it's for their spirituality. And people want to just like have a portion of that, have a piece of that. And just some of the dvekas that you see people living their lives in, or some people, or very few people, but for some people in the world, like certain sense seems like they can attain this level. So I suggest as we learn on to think of a few people in your mind, whether it's people that are alive now, or it's people that were alive 100, 200, 300 years ago, but some certainly holy neshamas that probably have reached a madrega like this, that as we're learning this, think about them. He says, the person who gets that holiness from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, afilu ma'asav hagashmim chozrim liyos inyonei kedusha mamish. This is what I was saying earlier, that this person, the physical actions that they're doing are kadosh. Right? Kind of maybe why I like passing out Shirayim, like I was saying also. V'simanech, and simon, an idea, a hint to this illusion, achilas kadosh, tehi atma mitzvahs aseh. Right? There's a mitzvah aseh to eat from the korbanos. Right? So here you have a person that is eating meat, and yet it's a mitzvah. The Amr is Zachron Bracha, and the Gemara Pesachim and Daf Netaram Beis says, Kohanim ochlim avalim iskaper. Right? The Kohen would eat, and the person who's bringing the offering, he would get his atonement. Right? So you see just an idea of a person to be engaged in the physical world for the sake of a mitzvah. The Tira Ata, let's see now. The difference between a person who's at a madrega of being called a tahar versus someone who's at a madrega of as a kadosh. The tahar, the tara was perek tetzayin. Okay, we are in perek havav. So that was a long way back. So what's the difference? Meaning it was a hamadriga too, to be someone who's called a tahar. But what's the difference between these two? It says a tahar masav achomriyim einam lo ela hachrecha. That when they do an action in the physical world, so it's out of necessity because they have to. V'hu atmo einam iskavim b'hem ela al tzad hachrecha. And their only intention in performing this action is because they need to. V'nim tzal shalidezeh yotzi misug hara shabo. And when they're performing this, so they're not involved in the evil and the bad component of the physical world, but rather it's kind of more neutral. Right? They remain good as they're doing these actions. It says, the kadosh is constantly clinging to Hashem. And he's constantly thinking and and connecting to Hashem's wisdom and to Avos Hashem and Yiras Shamayim. This person is considered as if he's walking with Hashem in this world. It's like he's in Olam Haba already, in this world, right? So, like I was saying, when someone is a tahar, is doing something physical, so that person thinks they need to, but they're kind of at a neutral state. It's not where they're getting a mitzvah, it's not where they're davuk to Hashem while they're doing that mundane action, but the kadosh, he's constantly at a level of ava and yira and vekas to Hashem, that even when he's involved in the physical world, it's on another madrig, it's on a different plane. And he says, Ish kazeh hu atmo nechshav k'mishkan. This person is mamish like a mishkan. The mikdash, the mizbeach. It's the mikdash like the mizbeach. Kamamram zafron lebracha, as Chazal teach us, vayal me'alav elukim. The apostle were in when discussing Avraham Avinu, it says like Hashem rose up from upon him. Avos hein hamerkava. Right, the avos are they are referred to as like the merkava of Hashem. There's an interesting idea here in the footnote. I'll read it to you from the footnote that discusses, I guess, the why are they alluded to as a merkava? Why not a chair? Kisei hakavod is another nice thing we speak of in relation to Hashem, right? So the merkava, kisei hakavod, what's the difference? It says Thomas, unlike a throne, which is confined within the four walls of the palace, a chariot brings the royal presence to the masses. Thus, the concept of Hashem's chariot means that he chooses to manifest his presence on earth by resting it, as it were, on a great and holy person, whose sanctity and elevated level of spirituality and conduct gives people an inkling of the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the fact the Merkava is the fact that this person is kind of the ambassador for HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. And they go out and they represent HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Kedusha, and people look to this person and could get closer to Hashem through this person. That's kind of what the Avos embody. He continues. Ki Ashchina Shora Alehem Kamosh Haisa Shor B'Mikdash, that the Shechina HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence rests upon them, just like it rests upon the base of Mikdash. Me'ata Hamachav Shechim Ochlim Hu Kikarban She'ola Al Gabe Ha'ishim, and that's why the food that they eat, it's like ingesting a korban that's being burnt on the mizbeach. Kivadai Hu Sheyeh Nechshav Ilui Gadol. And he says, was certainly considered like obviously a great thing whenever you had an offering, an animal that was offered on the mizbeach. And so he says the physical actions of the kadosh are obviously very valuable. And he says, for regard to the actual offering, it was certainly considered a great elevation for those items that would be on the mizbeach, because they were offered before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So here you have a regular cow going about its business, no mitzvahs for this cow, nothing he's performing for bring godliness into the world, and then it's offered on the mizbeach. And now this cow is mamish a piece of kedusha. So he says, and basically there's for this cow, like there's so much through the service that it was doing. And it's like the entire speech is kind of like uplifted through this action. That's what and the Midrash says, that this person, this kadosh, when he eats, when he drinks, so either who's a machal, hahu mishtahu, so it's as if he is taking this food It's as if he's taking this drink and he's mamish offering it up on the mizbeach. So we see, right? A person could take something that's plain, something that's very mundane, something that people sometimes will use as a sin, and this person could make it like it's a korban. And like I said, I mean, this whole chapter, this whole parak, certainly is very much beyond to say it that way. I know that it's a bit short, but just in terms of pacing it out, I know Chagai would like to end on Hanukkah. And I want this over on Hanukkah. So the amount that I've spaced out, it actually makes sense to stop here. But certainly we see that the Kedoshim, right? Think about the tzaddikim, that this is kind of the way their lives have been, lives are infused with this level of kedusha, and for us to attain a 50th of this would be madriga.